Hello and welcome to VR Reviews. Today we'll be reviewing the Figuarts Zero Broly. So yes, here we have my first and probably only Figuarts Zero figure, and it is of Broly. If you've been following this channel, you probably know that I buy and review a lot of Broly things, and I made a probably poor decision by pre-ordering this figure. It's not terrible, but it's very overpriced in my opinion. It's substantially more expensive than any of the other Figuarts Zero figures. It is bigger, to be fair, but still, I'm not sure it's worth what it costs. It's fairly decent looking, so if you are someone that just buys all the Broly things like I am, you might want it, but it's something you could easily pass on. Starting off with a quick size comparison, of course, here we have Broly. Here's our standard Marvel Legends 6-inch Cosmic Armor Iron Man and 3 3/4-inch Marvel Universe Wolverine. As you can tell, the Broly statue is fairly large. It's much bigger than a standard 6-inch figure or a 3 3/4-inch figure. And here he is compared to the SH Figuarts Broly. They seem to be roughly about the same scale. So if you do want to use the Figuarts Zero Broly for a SH Figuarts display, you could do that. Honestly, I think if you were willing to pay for this statue, I would just pay a little bit more and get an actual figure of Broly. Or even pay less and get the figurized model kit of Broly. Or anything else, because I don't know why you would want to use this in a display with other posable things, but you can if you really want to. Now let's get everything else out of here and just look at Broly. Moving on to our 360 spin, Broly is in a big combat pose where he's reaching back and charging up his big green ball. The attack itself is basically just a big cluster of green transparent plastic. I feel like it could have been executed better because it doesn't actually look that good in my opinion. He also has some green lightning on him, which does look good. The sculpting on everything is pretty solid, lots of nice muscle and cloth detail on everything. He has nice gold and blue paint on all of his jewelry. His skirt is nice and red and has some shading on it. His pants are basically dark gray due to the amount of shading on them. They're supposed to be white, but they're pretty much entirely dark gray and almost black in some spots, so I'm not terribly fond of that. And then he's coming off of a big rocky base, some parts of which are green. I'm not sure if that's meant to be, like, light from the blast, or if there's, like, grass or something on the rocks. Either way, the general detail of the figure looks nice. There's no massive complaints, but it's far from being spectacular looking. Head sculpt-wise, the hair, I actually really like how they did it. They made it a bit glossy, which I'm not necessarily fond of, but I like the gradient that it goes from yellow to green towards the tips. I think it looks really nice like that. The face sculpt, on the other hand, is not amazing. From what I've heard from people that collect Figuarts Zeros, faces are pretty commonly a big complaint among the series, and I'm not terribly fond of the way this one is sculpted. I see what they were going for, but it seems very off to me. A bit unfortunate. It's not the worst face I've ever seen, but it's far from being the best one. Packaging-wise, Broly comes in a fairly standard Figuarts Zero box, except it's massive. Like, way bigger than it needed to be. If they would have just made him slightly disassembled in packaging, they could have used a lot less material, and also made the shipping on this thing much less expensive. Either way, it's got a big window to display the figure. Picture the figure, Dragon Ball Z, Super Saiyan, Broly, The Burning Battles, Figuarts Zero, and all of your little logos and stuff. And on the back you get a little description and a big picture of the figure. As is generally the case, these are good for in or out of package display, and that about wraps it up for Broly. So until next time, goodbye!